Welcome back, Warriors. Once again, it is Warriors 10 time, and I'm joined by Mr. Nolan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, doing amazing. Hello, everybody out there. So nice to be here once again.
So we're back here to announce all of the things coming in Year 7, Season 2, title update 1.
You got it.
Yeah.
I liked it. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
No, so it starts next week, June 15th. So mark your calendars. Unless you're in this province, then it's marqué le calendrier.
Oh, see. You're practicing it.
I'm working on it.
It shows.
It's still terrible.
It's great.
So, Nolan, I believe there are other things they should be aware of that may be a dropping.
Oh, you're right. You're right. So what is also dropping are Twitch drops today. So y'all know how this should work by now, but just in case you don't, you want to link your UB Connect account to your Twitch ID. That way, while you're watching us, for every 30 minutes that we're on the air showing you all this incredible content, you can get a scavenger crate to claim. And at the end of all of this, we're going to draw some lucky winners to win either 100,000 steel grand prize or even better, the new hero skin, which we will be showing off very, very soon.
It looks so good.
It's so good.
It looks so good. It's so choice.
Quite choice.
As a huge arms and armor nerd, I was like, yes. You guys will see what I'm talking about soon. But a couple things to mention. We recently had a duel tournament.
Yes.
That was very fun. So the Duel Frenzy tournament, we had some winners to announce. And for those of you who didn't watch the stream, it was Bean.
It was Bean.
Bean won.
Congratulations, Bean.
JC called it like months in advance. He was
prognosticators there.
He was like, I love Tote Minded, but it's going to be Bean.
I could see it.
So we had Bean in first place, Tote Minded in second place, and Ranquis in third.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Ronqui, and they were like, no, he's not French. I was like, oh, cool, I got it.
Yeah, you gotta swap back and forth sometimes. But yeah, this tournament was absolutely hype. Like so much fun watching this top 8. Yeah,
over 2,000 signups.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were really excited by the response because it's been one of those things that the community for a long time has been like, do a duel tournament, and we've just done like Dominion. Yeah. So it was nice to see the community actually respond and be like, they give us what we wanted, and we're showing up for it. So that was really cool. And a big shout out to Mr. Spaniard, Mr. Nutella, and of course our casters, Vivid Nas and Verb, as well as the indomitable Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze was there too.
Freeze.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's favorite Bond villain / like endless Arnold joke. It's awesome. So. Yeah, absolutely legendary. So thank you everyone who participated, who showed up. No matter where you fell in the rankings, we're glad you showed up, and thank you for supporting the duel tournament scene. So for those of you who are interested in future tournaments and want to get involved in any tier of competitive play, head over to the For Honor Tournaments Discord.
I was going to practice this. I forgot. Okay, it looks like God, I hate inverted cameras. Anyway, it's over here somewhere. You'll see it.
So head over. You can send. Sorry, I messed that up so bad. I was trying to say you can join the tournament Discord, but then the email, if Max can pop it up again, if you are somebody running a
chance. Here you go.
There you go.
Here's the email.
Wow, we're doing great today, guys. We're doing awesome, crushing it. If you are someone who is running a tournament, let's be clear now. If you're running a tournament and you're like, hey, I would really like it if Ubisoft would support my tournament, send us an email to this address and put all of your information about your tournament in there. We'll review it. And if we're like, yeah, this seems legit and on the level, we want to start supporting more community tournaments with stuff like steel codes, social posts, etc. So if you have a tournament that you think would be a good fit for that, like shoot us an email and we'll review it. And if we're like, yeah, then we'll do it. So
very true. Because then we all win when we do that. Those tournaments are amazing. Again, I love the dual ones too. So yeah, just anytime we have a tournament run, and I think we're all winners there.
Yeah. So
except for this time Bean was the
So all the tournament stuff out of the way. We have a lot to cover in today's show.
Yeah.
We got a new hero skin that I am supremely confident everybody's gonna like. And it's like I saw it, I was just like, yes, please, please. And so we got a new battle pass. We got new tech in the game.
Ooh,
it's gonna be cool.
That's right.
So, but before we get into all that, check out the Year 7 Season 2 trailer.
All right.
Here you go.
There it is.
Fare thee well, distant shores, lands of pain and sorrow. A portrait colored gold, brushed by foes foul and free. Oh, what menace did prowl, struck down under bright sun. Lives taken, wonders broken, that riches cross the sea. A vain triumph come home. Wealth collected in blood. Behold and celebrate those who would monger war. So falls decency, a prize for all to see. Eagle hearts take flight, blood runs at first light.
Joining me for this segment on the couch, we got a full couch. We got a full house here. But we have Mr. Stefan, Mr. Ian, Miss Anna, and Mr. Julian. Thank you for joining me on the den today.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be
here. New couch alert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They're nice, unless you have back problems, and then they're not nice. But no, we have a lot to go through for the reveal of Year 7, Season 2. So before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, Stephanie, you want to give us the high level?
Absolutely. Excited today to bring you the roadmap here. The Swords of Injustice year rolls on into Season 2, Vengeance.
Nice.
Let's talk about Title Update 1. We're going to start right off the bat with a new Battle Pass. So awesome new content that's going to explore this new season of Injustice. We'll have the Stolen Empire Event Pass also kicking off the season on day 1 on June 15th for 3 weeks. Later in the show, MC and Catherine are going to talk to you about the new onboarding flow. Yes. So if you were stuck on win the 2v1 without getting hit, please pay attention later on because they have stuff for you.
We got rid of stuff that didn't work.
Don't spoil it all. Yeah, and then of course the Warmonger hero skin that you alluded to, and I think everyone's waiting for me to shut up so that we can look at. But also testing grounds. JC's going to come out here later and talk to you about testing grounds and our balancing for Title Update 1. We'll do Hero Fest this title update. So July 6th, this will be
trio of them.
Always. This will be Warlord. Then July 13th will be Griffin, and July 20th will be Valkyrie. Someone's excited for Valkyrie. And then their throwback event
the leg.
will be Wrath of the Jormungandr, July 13th. So pretty stacked title.
Yeah, I'm excited because the Yorm event is a constant request.
Always fun to
bring it back,
whack people with a hammer and make the serpent happy.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Are we going to talk about Title 2 real quick to run
Yeah, real quick. We can move on from the Pill Crusher.
Hero, he said to update your calendar 2 times and make sure you know that the hero's coming because it's going to be awesome. That's all I'm allowed to say. Free event pass also July 27th, so look for that. The armor variations are coming for the Viking, Woolen, and Outlander. And then we have Throwback Event, and we'll have 3 more Hero Fests in Title Update 2.
So many Hero Fests. I'm excited.
Be awesome.
Fest for all the heroes. So yeah, moving on. Year 7 Season 2 revolves around the concept of vengeance. Vengeance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ian, what does that mean, and kind of what can players expect narratively?
Well, narratively, before we get into this, let's just roll back just a bit. And, we ended Year 7 Season 1 with the Inquisition trials. So
Dark times.
Dark times indeed. And it's just going to get darker, So now, as the Inquisition trial, ended, Astria was already planning ahead. You know how she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a planner. She's a doer.
Yeah, exactly. And Astria, she's heard tales about a new world where there might be an empire of gold there, and so to extend Horkos's reach, she's sent a warmonger conquistador, who we call Conquistador Vela. Introducing
So
right
good.
here.
It is so good.
Conquistador Vela has been sent, her and her fleet, across the sea to this new world. They've found this secret empire. I'm trying not to say words that I'm not supposed to say. Now they've come back. They're returning to Heathmore victorious. They've got all this gold that they've plundered. They're super happy. Horkos is like dominant. We have the money to fund our war machine.
All the E3 swag.
Sure. Yeah, that too, for sure. So now they're throwing this big party to celebrate Horkos's victory. So we got so much gold that it's almost embarrassing how much gold there is. They're Scrooge McDucking it. They're swimming in it. They're dancing around with it. We'll talk about more for the map realization about that. But that's not the only thing that they brought back. They've also brought back a prisoner. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Which is a hero, which we may introduce in to you too. Hello.
The hero's in the cage? Oh,
The hero is in the cage that you'll see in the map.
That's not very nice.
No, that's not very nice at all. But they're.
I mean, that's
warmongers.
Horkos, right? Yeah.
It is
warmongers,
Injustice,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the year of injustice.
So I'm getting the vibe that because of an injustice, there's going to be some vengeance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Almost like you figured it out. As always, if players want to learn more about Conquistador Vela and her awesome gear, they can check out Green and Ambition, which is our new short story for the character. Part 1 will be available tomorrow, and Part 2 and 3 at 7, so July 16th and 23. There you go.
And for those of you who haven't checked out the lore stories, head over, check them out. A lot of work goes into them. And if you're like, oh, lore is for nerds, just remember, you play for honor. So you are a nerd. So, just read the lore, man. It's easy.
How did you do in the recent tournaments?
I always throw top heavy, so I do perfectly middle of the road. Never bottom frag, never the best, comfortably middle. So mid aft
a bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. But speaking of Conquistador Warmonger, Anna, I really like the skin. It's very beautiful. How did you guys do it?
It is very beautiful. And I'm really proud of what our team made. And honestly, we're all proud of this character. Yeah, it is gorgeous. So in designing this armor set, we focused not only on the historical armor as usual, but also we added a bit of a fantasy in it. And it was quite difficult to find the good reference, the historical reference of full armor that suits all our needs and tells the story of this character, because the story is important. And the armor is the way how we can tell the story of the character. So we combined the different pieces of the armor and added some conquistador kind of feeling. So that's why you see this helmet with the beautiful plum and puffy sleeves.
Yeah, the bloused
and-
arms are a nice touch.
yeah.
Very like, 14th century, 15th century Spain.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And also, probably you noticed this symbol on her chest that it's an eclipse, and it's a very important symbol for this character. It kind of telling the story of Horkos that want to dominate, that overshadows other civilizations. And
Really.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That how the eclipse do.
yes.
And one of the elements I really like is what's going on with the weapon.
Mhm.
I like the spiky shield you guys put on it. That's very nice. But kind of tell us about the different elements on the weapon. Like, is that blood?
Yes, it's a little bit blood. So you see here. Also, we use a lot of red color in the concept art because they're bringing not only gold, they're also bringing the blood. But our players,
The blood brings the gold. Like,
yeah. But this is what Horkors do, right? So you see this golden dreams that kind of tells the story of this character, and it says that they're greedy. And also want to point out this effect that we have on the armor that also represents this, like they're spreading.
Yeah.
And
it's very much RTX on, like levels of shiny.
So shiny.
It's so good.
it is.
Um,
And our players will be able to change the color to their needs, and they can create their own version of Conquistador Vela if they want. They
okay,
will-
nice. So
it's
all the
crazy.
material
Yeah.
colors can be changed and
Yeah.
stuff.
Get your Conquistador drip on.
Yeah. Yeah, Mamistador is in town. And I just love all the material selections that's gone into this. There's a lot of subtle things that if you're a huge like arms and armor nerd that really stand out. The Damascus steel on the blade of the flamberge, and like just a lot of other little elements. I like the Milanese scallops on the shoulder. It's like you guys did a really great job on it. It looks incredible, and I'm excited to see Conquistador Vela and to learn more about her. And for those of you who are also anticipating the Conquistador Vela skin will be available starting next week, June 15th, for 25K steel standard price. So, thank you so much, Anna, for taking us through everything. I don't think we missed anything, did we? Did we miss a mood board?
Yes.
I think we did. I think I messed up.
I think we did.
Yeah. So, here's the mood board.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what, like this?
Yeah, sure. So here we gathered all the reference images that inspired us to create this season. So you see there's a lot of gold, of course, and it's not just like nice and shiny gold. It's also, you see this, it's a liquid gold that covers the skull, for example. So you feel this a bit unease, and it's not, there's a lot of warm color as well, but it's not very comfortable.
Yeah,
Also,
very opulent, like
yeah.
just over
yeah,
the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And Horkos is celebrating, but they're bringing this beautiful exotic birds, beautiful flowers, and some exotic animals. But you feel that it's not a good celebration. There's some darkness behind this.
Yeah.
They went to the new world, like, ooh, shiny mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, if you've ever been in like a historic building that's way too opulent, just like a little too opulent, you're like, this is very beautiful. I'm very uncomfortable. Let's go get ice cream now. And Julien, so tell us a bit about what players can expect. I know there's a lot in the update,
Yeah, I mean that was the perfect segue to what we're gonna get into.
and I didn't even have a segue.
Yeah, we didn't even rehearse that. It's perfect. It's awesome. So essentially, if season 25, if it was portraying the Injustice theme of year 7 with more of a gloomy atmosphere, Season 26 is definitely going to bring it more to a colorful, playful manner. And so essentially from an in-game realization standpoint, we're going to be throwing a party, and then we're going to crash it later on.
I love crashing parties.
There you go, yeah. So
I've never crashed a party.
So yeah, for the team essentially wanted to create an atmosphere that was unsettling, like you're mentioning, but at the same time that was festive, right? With misappropriated opulence and riches. So essentially, to create that, we wanted to go with something that was an atmosphere unsettling, but at the same time that's exciting. So we played around with themes like opulence, gluttony, gold, and lots of it. And what essentially that creates is an atmosphere or environment, should I say, that's essentially discomforting, but at the same time exciting and vibrant. So you're going to have like rich colors, warm colors that are going to be clashing with a more somber backdrop. And weirdly enough, it really creates the setting that's gorgeous, like we're currently seeing there.
Yeah, I love the blue-gray sky, and then you have all these warm colors coming up from the shard, and it really kind of makes like you said, like slightly the vibe's a little off. Like it doesn't
Exactly.
quite check.
Yeah, it's like this is appealing, yet something's not quite right.
I mean, that thing says Dark Celebration, like a severed pig head, right?
Well, yeah, but right next to like 3 luck pineapples.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
no, like I said, like we are throwing a party, so I mean, you got to have your pig head, right?
Oh yeah,
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Gotta have it. It's essential.
So in the map, you're gonna see again, like the first thing you're gonna notice is the goldification of the map, and like one that will make gold member as giddy as can be. So you've got like molten gold, you've got gold dust, you got the gold bars. That's all displays of the conquistadors' extravagant display of triumph, basically. Like Ian mentioned early on, they just came back with tons and tons of gold. This is, and again, like to go back to what Ian is saying, is they're totally Scrooge McDuffing it, and like they've got fountains of this. They've got so much. So yeah, they're definitely going deep into the gold.
Yeah, I did see a liquid gold fountain in there, so quite literally fountains of gold.
I mean, yeah, and it's like the trouble you have to get into to produce a fountain of gold. But,
yeah, but don't eat it though.
Yeah,
it's
don't eat, don't bathe, but
it wouldn't be good.
No,
It wouldn't be good.
So when you navigate into the map, you also might be building up an appetite. And yes, it's barbecue season, of course, but that's not the reason why. The reason why is every capture point has an exquisite feast that's on display. Conquistadors came back. They've got a very important, very special prisoner, and then they're just prepping festivities before. It's public execution, so they're throwing a party basically.
Daubigny's got to be jealous. They've got all the gold now. They've got all the feast. Now.
They've got the wine.
Yeah.
They've got
just ended his celebration.
I know.
Like,
It's like son of a.
yeah.
Defend the feast wall.
Yeah, it's so and then I have to mention as well, wild exotic animals as centerpieces as well. So yeah, between battles, enjoy the festivities. There's one thing I have to mention. There's the cage that is put on display during the TU. If you want to just pass by, see, you might hear some interesting things, maybe clues.
I love a good clue.
Yeah, a warning.
I was
maybe.
really good at clue, so it works out for me. I love a clue.
One final detail that's really cool too, Brian, is the ambience. And one of my personal favorite touches is essentially you've got the sky that's really menacing and threatening. You've got the sea that's angry as well. Yet again, you've got like this festive backdrop going on. So maybe something forth telling as to what's to come. We'll see.
All right, so the lore junkies can crank up the volume and sneak around the map, see what they can find.
Indeed.
All right.
They might need a dictionary
Uh-oh.
to other languages.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna say.
Get that,
Yeah.
get that Google Translate going.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
translators.
I think it said this. So yeah, thank you so much for taking us through all of that, and thank you, Anna and Anne, for doing the deep dives on the narrative and the Conquistador Vela. Before we move on to the next segment, though, we got a lot to talk about in the Battle Pass, and we also have a free event pass. So coming up in the Battle Pass, we've got a lot of stuff. So we're going to go through it real quick. We've got a mood effect, the Vengeful Prowler. And I really like this one. I like the glowing eyes, a bit ominous. And then we also have the Vengeful Jaguar. Well, I think there's two. I think there's two mood effects. There's Vengeful Prowler, Vengeful Jaguar. I think I said them backwards, or
a lot of vengeance.
Or Max got them backwards. We'll blame Max. And then we've got a battle outfit, the Vengeful Vindicator. Again, lots of vengeance going on. Every say what?
It's an eagle, vengeful eagle.
They're all backwards on the cheat sheet. I'm just gonna look at the screen.
Yeah.
The Vengeful Eagle followed by Vengeful Vindicator on everybody's favorite Warden Larry here. And then we've got an ornament, hopefully. Yeah, nailed that one. Nailed that one. The Vengeful Serpent. It's a snack. And then we've got the Jungle Pal, so you can pet the snake.
Danger Noodle.
Danger Noodle, indeed. Yeah. And then I believe we have yet another secret Danger Noodle. Not in this one. That's later on. Spoilers. This one I really like. Execution Hot Potato. As a native Idahoan, I approve. And then we've got a sneak peek of the weapons that will be coming with the Battle Pass. So everybody's favorite Thigh Guy Highlander. You can see that weapon there. And Conquer the Bonker. With his vengeful weapon, so combo, and I really love the flail on this one. The Jaguar head's really great. Can't wait to slap someone in the face with it. And then, in addition to this, we've got the free event pass coming up. We've got a battle outfit, Wonders of Gold. Do we? That way, we do. So we got Wonders of Gold battle outfit. We've got another ornament, which is the New World Eclipse. I think that one's going to look super awesome on anyone with a big head or shoulders. And then we've got the Heap of Gold effect, or Heap of Gold, if you're not sporting a Midwest accent. And then we've got the free event pass weapons. So you can take a sneak peek at those here, and then we'll have a full slate of them when we transition between segments. So, and everybody's favorite stick boy, Shuggo. Yeah.
Shuggo, he's having a ball at the feast.
Yeah. You know yeah. He loves the club. He just gets this party on.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, quick recap. Any last words before we move to the next segment?
I mean, I think we should just highlight the team's work again. It was, everything. The skin is amazing. The map realization's amazing. The lore is just the best we've ever done. No, kidding.
The best that has ever been.
It's gold.
It's gold, Cherry.
It's gold.
It's gold.
Cherry. Gold.
Dating myself with that one.
Seinfeld's not that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
But Steven, Ian, Anna, Julian, thank you so much for joining me for this segment. For those of you at home, stick around. We're going to come back and talk about building some new tech under For Honor so we can support lots of awesome new stuff. And in the meantime, we're going to show you some event pass and battle pass weapons. And stick around. We'll be back with new onboarding flow. Welcome back, everybody. Joined with me on the couches today for the very first time on the Warriors Den is Miss MC,
Hi.
Anthony,
Hello.
and Catherine. Hello. So, since it's your first time on the show, why don't you guys take a quick sec, introduce yourself, talk about what you do. MC,
Yes.
let you go first.
I've been a production manager on For Honor for a year now, and I'm in charge of the UI and VFX teams. So this is part of the UI team. We also have Marie-Ève, who's not with us right now.
Awesome. How about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm the quality assurance specialist for the UI cell. So do a lot of testing, making sure that we provide a quality UI for all of you guys to enjoy.
So you keep us on track.
Exactly.
All right.
Keep this one on track.
I am unmanageable.
And Catherine, how about you? I believe you do a lot with UI, right?
Yes, I am one of For Honor's UI artists. So I create a lot of the assets you see on the UI. I design a lot of the screens, and I also help with in-engine implementation. I do a lot. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
do a lot.
that's a heavy load. That's a lot to do. So why don't we just talk about there's a lot of awesomeness to talk about today. So MC, I'll let you kind of kick us off with what can players expect, because I know this is a moment where like it might not be super obvious what we've done, but a lot of work went into improving a lot of like underlying tech.
Indeed. Under the hood, the dev team has been really, really hard at work to really reinvent the onboarding for new, but also for current players to, again, give a safer bridge to the multiplayer. So we want to make the game more accessible, because we know For Honor, sometimes once you first get to it, it's a bit harder to understand, that damn dodge and roll trial. And so
especially like 7 years after launch, like you go from campaign to online multiplayer, and that's a real rough switcheroo. Like between that and a punch in the throat, it would be like hard to tell which you'd rather do.
Indeed. And so we've decided to really simplify and really streamline the tutorials. So right now, all tutorials are unlocked. So from the start. So whether you're a new warrior or whether you're an experienced player, you can sharpen the skill you want at the time you want. So that's really good. From there, we've also decided to join the apprentice and the warrior trial. Again, to really have this one big flow to better having a learning curve. So really to be more logical in what we're doing.
And that's excellent, because like if we're being honest, we're friends here. Some of us may have completed the apprentice trials and then never looked back. And I have a feeling I'm not alone in that. and that a lot of players are missing out on valuable info. And then, like me, they wind up on Reddit going, "How to For Honor, please." And then the veteran community is like, "Did you even do the trials, bro?" And you're like, "Maybe." I'm asking for a friend.
Sure. That's it. It's just none of us would have done
that. I love that they're combined.
Yeah,
together.
That's it. So we decided to really combine them, and then to improve the contents, which you'll see with Anto in a few seconds. Again, to give access to the basic knowledge that you need to win those matches, to reduce frustration also, and just play the games, enjoy. So basically, bottom line, a brand new onboarding, a brand new experience to better help new but also current players to win those great battles.
So get in, get good, get out.
Exactly.
Boom. Awesome.
Boom pow.
Yeah, and Anthony, I know a lot was done to optimize the experience, and that you had, I think, more than one hand in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas thrown around everywhere, and then what we wanted to do was to really drastically shorten and streamline the tutorials down to a list of 9. So like MC said, we've combined the apprentice and the warrior tutorial, and that way you get the full list all at once, so that even if you're an experienced player and you just want to practice how to parry, you just want to learn how to parry those heavies, well, you can just go and do that. But we really streamlined them so that they're stripped down to their core mechanic for new players to learn easily and efficiently how to play the game, because we all know that playing with friends is much more fun. So we want you to join that, to have your friend join you in the game, in the battlefield, and that way that will help them that way.
So how's that going to impact players in terms of earning their rewards, since everything's all in one place now?
So right now, since that we've also, in order to streamline and shorten the tutorials, we've removed the side objectives and a lot of the main objectives as well, so it's more shorter that way. But we removed some of the side objectives, so you'll no longer have to go back and redo because a tutorial because you got an F or something because you missed a side objective, and because you get that F, you won't be able to get that awesome reward. So now what you can do is just complete online tutorials, and you'll be able to receive steel ornaments, symbols, and emblem symbols.
And so if I'm a player who maybe did part of the trials before, like I'm not saying it was me,
No, no.
but maybe I had some I hadn't done yet. How's that going to impact those rewards?
Yeah, so everything's going to be recentered, so transferred to the new flow. So whichever trials that you've completed before are going to be transferred to the new tutorial flow, so you won't have to redo them. And all you'll need to do is complete all the tutorials, and you'll get all the remaining rewards. They won't stack though. So if you've earned the ornaments before, you won't have the ornament in double. But if you weren't able to get that ornament because you couldn't get an A in dodge and roll, well, then at this point you'll be able to get that ornament finally.
Okay, yeah. So if you were like, I'm not doing this, I don't like this, but I wish I had that, but I'm not going to do it. Now you can just pop in, do it. Everything's a lot more straightforward. And I believe we got rid of some stuff that just was not helpful in the modern context of For Honor.
Yeah, so when reviewing the onboarding, we realized that 7 years is a long time, and things change in 7 years. And we wanted to just modernize the process. So some tutorials, such as stamina, which was a bit challenging. Yeah, just I was wondering, why can't I hit? Well, we've removed the tutorial. Now we've actually added basically a pop-up that will appear whenever in every tutorial that you do. Whenever you run out of stamina, you'll have that pop-up that will appear to show you to explain that you've run out of stamina, what you can do, stop throwing heavies, in order to regain it.
And I believe that one went in last season, right?
What went in is actually some pop-up that's under the HUD. So right under your health bar, there's going to be a no stamina seize attack that appears. So that one's going to be by default enabled onto the for every tutorial, so that you'll have it in your face all the time during the tutorial. And if you still need it when you're starting the game, then at this point you can enable it in the option as well, so that you can have it in any online game mode as well.
Yeah, I noticed it when it popped up last season, and I was like, that's very helpful, because sometimes, all the wrinkles disappear from my brain, and it's just a little marble up there, and I keep throwing heavies, even though I'm out of stamina, and I'm like, oh, right, I can't do that.
It's just a little quick reminder to stop throwing heavies.
So we talked about what we've taken away from the tutorials, and I know we've added some things.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell players a bit about what's been added?
So one thing that we wanted to add as well is that we added a practice the minion match, in which you're going to be fighting with and against bots. Before that match also, there's going to be a little screen that appears that shows dynamically with little animations. It's very interactive. It's really cool to see, and that explains very quickly, very efficiently how to play the game. So what are the scoring mechanics? What are your feats? What is breaking? And how to win the game. So you won't have to try to figure it out on your own. You'll have all the information at one go when you start to practice match. And you'll also have access to it when you press the start in the start menu. But that match is really just with bots and against bots. So you can learn so you can practice what you've learned at your own pace, and really without the pressure of playing with and or against other players.
I'm excited to see how this helps new players. If they come in, they're able to kind of like sink their teeth into Dominion a little easier without going like, what am I doing here? Where am I supposed to be? I guess I'll just stand on A for the entire match. And if someone comes here, I'll fight them. And so I know that was kind of some of the problems we were seeing out of the old flow.
Exactly. We really smoothened that curve with adding to practice the minion match in order to help the players who are new to the game to get into that very popular game mode that everyone plays. because at first it's not very straightforward. So that way you get all the information, you get to practice, and you can always go back to it at any time because all the tutorials are available. Even if you finished everything, you'll be able to do them.
Nice. Looking forward to it. And Catherine, I believe you've been responsible for streamlining a lot of the information that's displayed to players.
Yes. I think existing players might notice the UI and be like, I don't see a lot of changes. Of course not, because we need to maintain a certain standard
Yeah, if we change everything.
the entire game. But a lot of the changes were under the hood in terms of like UI framework for it to be better optimized or nice and speedy and crisp.
And it's a completely new framework, right? Like ground up.
Exactly. It's the one that's been implemented in the game since, I guess, Marching Fire is like every time we touch something, we make it better. So you'll notice that in the HUD for the objectives, because we removed the sides objective, we've also removed a lot of distraction in the HUDs. You just have your new objective, your grocery list, like you've blocked 2-3 times, perfect, you're done. In terms of pop-up, because we have this new framework, we were able to use more dynamic assets, which means more animations, more one-to-one with the real UI, less screenshots, basically.
Yeah.
And also by rebuilding these animations, like even the controller in the pop-up, rebuilding this animation in this new framework means that I could apply dynamically colors using the game engine, which means that now a lot of these assets will be colorblind friendly. So if you activate a colorblind mode in the game, it will affect how you see the pop-up. And then we hope you'll be able to see the highlights and have proper contrast. That's one example of how we made it more accessible. Everything else is about how a lot of the information is more dynamic. So if we make changes in the game, we hope it'll show in these pop-ups as well. Yeah, it's been a very big labor of love tech-wise. And we hope that when you play the tutorial and you see this UI, that you know that it's not in your way.
Yeah.
That it helps you understand and that it helps you get through the tutorials.
Yeah, that's kind of at least that's like my opinion is like the best UI design is one you don't notice. It's there. You're not going like, oh, why didn't they do X? Why didn't they do Y? It's just there. You use it and you don't really think about it.
It needs to be there when you need it, and it needs to not be there when you're trying to do something.
Yeah, so I know this is really exciting for the team. It opens up a lot of like future proofing and like options for the future of For Honor. And it's nice to take a moment, kind of shine a light on that because a lot of work goes into some of these things, but they're not necessarily evident from like the player's end. And that's kind of by design. Like if we changed everything, you'd be like, what are you doing? So like my muscle memory, my brain memory, all my synapses are wired for this information to be here in this way. And if we change that, then that's a problem. But it's nice to like at least surface and say, hey, you know, we rebuilt this thing so that it can be like leaner, cleaner, faster, meaner, like everything.
Yeah, and even we showed a bit of the menus before, like the list with the tutorials. Like you'll notice like little additions with more images, more icons, more information, so that when you go back, you can quickly find the tutorial if you want to redo like the parry and things like that.
And I'm very excited about all the additions to like, oh no, the word just went out of my accessibility options, because like my childhood best friend, red, blue, colorblind, can't tell the difference between like hot pink and like neon blue, and so For Honor for him is just brown. The whole game is just brown. So that's really awesome to hear. And any last thoughts, MC, before?
Yeah. Well, just a big, huge shout out to the dev team that has worked on it. It was a huge undertaking. As we've mentioned, you might not see everything that we put into it, but thanks to our prog team, our tech team, design team, Tommy especially, that helped us out to really produce and ship onboarding. For us, it was a huge mandate, and we're really happy to present it to every players. And thanks to you for receiving us on the couch.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And for those of you at home, stick around because we're going to be right back with the Lord and Savior of For Honor, Mr. JC Franet. And we'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. We are transitioning out of the awesome onboarding flow right now and to talk about all of our favorite subjects, patch notes, what's new, what's coming to the game, what'll be live next week for you all to enjoy. And who better to talk about all of that than, yes, indeed, JC is back with us on the couch today. Welcome, JC.
Thank you. Welcome to you.
All right. Well,
I don't know if I should welcome you. You've been here already.
You can welcome me. I'm fine with that.
All right, that's
I don't
great.
mind.
That
I don't mind.
works
I feel welcome now. So
That's good.
That's very good. All right. So JC, a new season, new title update dropping next week. Obviously, we've got some changes we want to discuss. Maybe some that'll be surprising. Maybe some that we'll talk about a little later. But what do you? What should we start with?
All right. Well, let's get started then. So first up, Nusha. So as some of you, I'm guessing most of you, I'm hoping at least, participated in the last testing grounds where we did Lawbringer and Nusha. So the feedback we got for Nusha was very positive. It was working super well. The change that we did for her traps for Glass Waltz and Jade Ballet are pretty much becoming unreactable. Like we've even had people say, "Oh yeah, it's reactable," and then no, it wasn't. So that's great. So because of this, because the feedback was great, and because it really helps Nusha, we've decided to push these live right now. Right, so that's great.
Awesome.
So just to go through the changes themselves. So heavy attacks on Cancel the Glass Waltz at 500 MS up from 4. From zone attack, it goes to Jade Ballet at 700 instead of 6. And Glass Waltz and Jade Ballet are now 300, down from 4. So what this means overall is that it's going to land at the same time, right? So when you used to play with Nusha, you can do like a heavy soft feint to Glass Waltz, for example, and it would land the exact same time as the hit would have landed, right? So you need to block it at the right time, parry at the right time, do all that sort of stuff. Yeah. This does not change. However, what does change is... okay, this is weird. Okay, so what does change? Sorry, tech issues. That always happens with live stuff, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. So what does change, however, is the fact that the soft feint, basically like the cancels to Glass Waltz and Jade Ballet, come out a little bit later, and the trap itself is a bit faster. So because of this, it's like a little bit later than normal feint timing. So it's even harder to tell if somebody feinted or is going to use it. And on top of that, it's so much faster. Like that 100 MS pushes it toward being fully unreactable, which means that it's going to be like it's a lot easier to land and it's a lot harder to react, right? You really have to make a read whenever she throws a heavy. So that's great. It works really well. It's an interesting tool because it works way better at high level. where people don't like miss time parries or whatever. So
Right,
that's
right.
great. And so it's a super interesting tool. We love to be able to keep that uniqueness on Nusha. And we're really happy that we found a solution that worked for this.
Oh, I'm super happy too because Nusha's like just
Yeah.
hands down my favorite Wulin, my favorite of the assassins, just because she looks so darn cool. I
Yeah,
love
she
the
does.
Weapons,
She really,
so,
really does. And like
yeah.
everything's so unique about this
Yeah,
character
it's so
that
unique,
we really
so-
wanted to. And I'm super happy that we're actually able to keep it
Me too.
and
me
to
too.
have that function in there, right? Because otherwise, the other solutions were not as fun as this.
I know. I wasn't. I was really hoping for this, so
Yeah,
I'm glad
so
I'm glad it worked.
Super hyped about this.
Nice.
All right, okay. So next up, Warden. So Warden's been underperforming for a little while, unless you
Yeah,
count the
I was
duel
gonna say, I'm like,
tournament,
did you watch the duel tournament?
where
'Cause
you're like, well, you
really-
got Blitz and you got Ranquist that are like, Warden specialists, but they're so high level that at some point we can't expect everybody to play at their level. So we're doing some changes to Warden to make the hero a little bit more competitive, a little bit better in group fights. That's one of the aspects where Warden has a bit of a harder time. So we're doing like 2 major changes. So first of all, we're changing is side heavy finishers.
Yeah.
They're 100 ms faster, right? So they're 800 instead of 9. That should really help getting them out, right? Because at 900, it's a bit slow.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier for people around you to react to. You have to time them a little bit more differently. So at 8, it's a more standard speed, but it really helps. We've seen in the past that when we've sped up Orochi's side heavy finishers, for example, they tend to be much better. They hit a lot more, so that's great. And on top of this, we've also improved their trajectory. So for this, it's a little bit different. Normally when Warden swings, like you're going to swing your big sword. The thing is that the way the weapon swings is really diagonal.
Yeah.
So we normally, like the way it worked is the trajectory that we had really matched the weapon super well. But because of this, it was super hard to hit people externally around you, right? And even sometimes it looked like the weapon was going to hit them and it didn't. So what we did is we took that trajectory and we flattened it quite a bit. So it doesn't 100% match the weapon, but we can cheat that a little bit so that it hits people around you a way better.
Right.
So we've done that for his side heavy finisher. So this way, Warden can actually defend himself around with people around him and really hit them on the side. So that works quite well.
It should feel a lot better to play like those situations. Yeah.
And then on top of this, a feature that I've seen requested by players quite a bit, and we've done some testing, it seemed to feel really good, was that shoulder bash. Normally when you want to do it off a front dodge, right? You could only do it from 3 to 500 ms. So you can delay it a little bit, not too much, but because it's a charging bash, takes a while to get into, takes like a little bit too long to get into the actual bash portion, even if you don't charge it. We're super comfortable making it start at 100 ms in your front dodge. So that accomplishes a couple things. It's going to come out 200 ms faster if you just buffer everything, right? Which makes a big difference. It's a bit harder to react to, and you can also delay it even more, right? So if you think somebody's going to like try to dodge super early or dodge later, do whatever you want to do, like it gives you a lot more versatility with Warden. It should make it a lot easier to open up people with. And so shoulder bash is a really great tool for Warden, right? Like it lets you really initiate from further out. It lets you do like a lot of weird things that not a lot of heroes are able to do. So it's great. And even though Warden is a little bit simpler in terms of kit and what the character kind of does, at the end of the day, these small changes should really help the viability in Dominion at least. Also in duels a little bit with the opening with shoulder bash. So we're confident that it's going to keep going forward. And we're still keeping an eye on Warden, right? Because even with this, might not get to, S tier or something, which is okay. But if the hero is still really underperforming, we can still keep it going and do more changes, as we've been doing for quite a bit now. So it works pretty well, right?
We got a good cadence going.
All right. So next up in our list of underperforming heroes is Hito Kiwi. So Hito,
that's a lot of text there.
Yeah, it's a lot of text, right?
Right.
We're gonna have to look at this. I'll explain it. Don't worry.
Okay, please help me.
Yeah, right. But the idea is that Hito Kiwi has also been kind of underperforming. Sometimes it's a bit of a noob stomper. Like it's very effective at lower levels.
I didn't want to say anything because when you said that, I'm like, what do you mean underperforming? Oh no,
right?
am I the noob being stomped?
That's the thing.
Oh,
Right?
no.
So we've tried to focus some changes to Hito that are shouldn't really affect much lower level, but should have higher impacts, like a lot more impact at higher level, so that the hero is more playable. She's gonna be a little bit more accessible, but have a bit more power there. So what we've been doing is, first of all, her heavy openers, right? So before if you remember, Launch Hito Kiwi, right?
I do remember launching.
Launch Hito was like very strong because Launch Hito had uninterruptible stance, on those opener heavies, but very, very, very early,
Right.
which led to the much loved heavy on red meme. Well, heavy on red actually. It's even better. So we ended up removing the armor there, like let's call it armor there. We decided to remove it from there because it was like a little bit too strong, and we wanted to like really like bring the power level down for the hero. However, as we've been going on and advancing with the hero and like doing a lot more heroes, a lot more reworks, a lot more that sort of stuff, Hito kind of fell down in the rankings and like not as playable as it used to be. So we're adding back armor there, but we're adding it back at 500 ms at the earliest.
Okay.
So basically, it's like if you tap heavy, then 500 ms into that, you're gonna get armor, right? So if you charge it a little bit longer, it comes in a little bit later. So there's a couple of those things that it's different, but the idea here is that one of the big counters to Hito was just like lighting. Whenever you saw Hito like throwing a heavy, often enough, if you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna charge a little bit or whatever, you could like really hit them out with a light. It was super hard. Made the hero like hard to really open up and initiate with.
That's what I was supposed to do this whole time.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do this whole
Now
time.
I know.
Like, mash light is gonna work. So yeah, but here's the thing, right? So by doing this, by making this small change, it really lets her like be able to open up in a bit more like open and free manner, right? That really helps. And on top of this, we've also reduced the minimum charge time for the uncharged version, right? The version when you tap. So it used to be that you would charge for 400 milliseconds, and then the strike itself, so when it actually started to swing, was 400. So we've reduced the charge portion by 100 ms. So the total attack time when you just tap heavy is 700 instead of 8. We've also reduced the damage a little bit to compensate for this, but it also helps with the armor coming in with the slightly faster opener speed. Should really help Hitokiri like really get there. It has a couple of like really good points, right? It adds 100 ms more delayability, so you can be less predictable with it. And it also has a pretty nice impact on frame advantage. So when you do end up landing your big heavy finishers, like those big, like I forget the name because I'm kind of bad.
I think it's big heavy finisher.
Big heavy finisher, right?
That's the
fully charged
term.
ones
Yeah.
that are unblockable and armored. So when you do land them, you put your opponent in heavy hit reaction, and then you get a lot of frame advantage.
Right.
And so because of this, with the heavies being at 700, it gives you a bit of an edge that you didn't really have before, on top of the armor, on top of all of those good things. So we're really hoping that it'll open up Hitokiri's game plan a little bit more here and let her be able to get in a little bit more, get a bit more pressure going, use all of her kit and get into it and, just perform better.
There you go.
So that's good. And then we've also adjusted the chain timings from her opener heavies to the chain heavy attacks. Well, the opener heavies and chain heavies to chain heavies, chain lights, light finishers, kicks, and whatever. So it used to be from 366 to 400 ms. So whenever you would like hit your heavy, it would block, it would hit or whatever.
Yeah.
The time it would take for the next attack to even start would be at 366.
Yeah.
The reason why we did this is to make sure that if you threw a heavy and it landed, it was blocked or whatever, everybody could always dodge the following light. Because we felt, it's a bit too, it's a bit oppressive. It's kind of hard to deal with. So we decided to revert this and to go back to 200 to 400. So it gives you, again, a bit bigger delayability window, makes you a little bit less predictable, also makes that light tougher to deal with, right? Because if you're trying to pre-dodge whatever is going to be happening, that light is going to hit you. With the dodge changes, it also helps a little bit there. So that's great.
Yeah.
But it's all that stuff, and it also makes the hero better just because the chain heavies that have armor, the armor kicks in late. So because it kicks in late, now it's going to kick in a little bit earlier, like 166 ms earlier, which makes a bit of a difference there. So it's all those like little changes here that we can do that really help the flow of the hero and get into a position where, well, actually I feel better playing her. I get a bit more options. I can actually use everything in my kit to be able to get somewhere, right? Her kit is kind of, it's not that it's limited. There's not a lot of stuff, but it's designed to be around being kind of like a blender where you're going in and whenever she does a correct read, whenever something right happens, she gets to go again and again and again and again. And that's the idea. But with those timings, that was a little bit too challenging to get to. So we kind of messed around with that a little bit to make it a bit more accessible.
Yeah.
Now, last but not least, even though it's on the last item on the list, we adjusted her zone attack trajectory to better match weapon visuals. We love to rate this. I love to rate that.
Yeah.
But essentially, her zone attack was a bit underwhelming. Couldn't really hit a lot of people around. So we've really adjusted it so it hits a bit further, hits more around her, and should be a better tool to use when there's multiple people around you. Try to hit them all. In the minion lane as well is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I like to do with Hitokiri is just run Nuke Kubi and just go into them. You go into the minion. Like, not Kubi, I forget the name of the feat now.
Body count.
It doesn't matter. You go, you just...
One of the feats.
Yeah, one of the feats
One
there.
of the feats.
You go, you mash heavy, you kill a bunch of minions, you get infinite stamina. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
But that works well. So that's it for Hitokiri there.
Wow.
So a lot of changes here. We hope everybody likes them. We're keeping an eye on the hero again. Keep going and see where we go.
Yeah, we keep an eye on all the heroes. By
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way,
yeah,
just so you know that. Like, we don't just ignore stuff.
Laser focus on everybody.
For sure.
So next up, Aramusha. So this is a kind of a different change, right? So it's a buff and a nerf at the same time, which might sound a little bit weird, but I'll explain the logic behind it.
Blew my mind there. How does this work?
Aramusha has Blade Blockade, right? So Blade Blockade is when you tap down on the right stick, goes into this kind of motion, can block a bunch of attacks, gets a bunch of different follow-ups. The thing is, you can go into Blade Blockade during the recovery of all of your attacks for like pretty much the entire time of the recovery. So you can cancel into it really well. We did this to make sure that you're able to time properly all these things, right? So that works well. However, you had such a large penalty on stamina when you whiffed it, because it used to cost 5 stamina just to perform the move.
Yeah.
And if you didn't block anything, you would pay an extra 10. So it would go up to 15. It didn't really incentivize you to kind of use it. You were getting double penalized, because most of the time when you miss it, you get guard broken. Something else happens.
Yeah.
So you get kind of like double penalized here. So what we decided to do instead is put all the stamina cost for this upfront. So it's on the activation itself, and now costs 10. So when you do manage to land it, it's still going to cost you 10, but it's always going to cost you 10, whether you block somebody with it or not. And so it should help also not really overuse it, right? It might just look like, just 5 extra stamina, but in the long term, it kind of makes a difference.
It adds up,
especially with Aramusha that has like a lot of like really fast attacks. You're blowing through stamina like crazy.
Right.
So with this, you want to use it a little bit more sparingly, but you're not as penalized when you mistime it. So that's kind of like the idea here. It's a small change, but it has a good effect on Aramusha where you end up, you got to think a little bit more when you want to do it, right? So we like to promote that type of gameplay, so that kind of works there.
I like it. Yeah. Very cool.
And then finally, Yorm. This might seem like more of a bug fix, but it's a big thing there. You can now perform Jormungandr's chain zone attack while you're out of lock.
Nice.
So again, like this was like something that we overlooked when we did the rework and stuff, and we wanted to make sure that we kind of fix it. But this has a big implication, because Yorm can now go into the minion lane and not have to lock in to nothing or even a potential hero to be able to really, really clear the minion lane. You can now go and do like heavy zone all the time, and you're doing good in the lane rather than having to do it from like in a locked position, and it feels awkward. You don't really turn. It's kind of weird. So with this, like, it works way better. It's a lot more interesting, and it's a small change, but it feels way better on Yorm there. So that's great.
Cool. And if you try out our new onboarding flow, you'll understand why the minion lane is important.
Exactly, right? And so like that onboarding flow is amazing. I'm
really
super psyched with this. So it's really good stuff.
It's great. Yeah.
But that's it for our patch notes.
Okay, but that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, JC. But somebody seems like they were missing a bit. You mentioned at the beginning, Nusha was in a testing ground with a certain Labro. Was there too, but I didn't see him there.
Yeah, Labro is not there. I wonder why.
I wonder why, indeed. But we don't have to wonder for long, because we have another segment coming up right after this where we're going to talk about the next testing grounds, and we'll be able to share a bit more. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back really soon. welcome back once
Man.
again. I know it's just time flies when
Time
you're having
flies.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun right now.
I'm having a blast. Thank
I
you.
love doing these things. It's so much fun.
These are great. Always a pleasure. Yeah, we had to just take a little bit to get something set up in the back here, but yeah. So we are going to be talking a bit more about the testing grounds. So GC's got more to share with that.
Yes.
So for visibility, it's going to launch on June 29th and run to July 6th. So yeah, be lots of fun stuff. So what can we expect in this testing grounds?
In this, we're testing actually two things in this testing grounds. We're doing testing bash timings, specifically opener bash timings.
Yep.
I'll go into a little bit more detail afterwards. And also, I think you mentioned Lawbringer.
I did, yeah.
Right. So Lawbringer Part 2.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I saw
there
the,
he is.
saw the
Right,
part
that's
two.
good. Right. So we'll talk about Lawbringer Part 2 as well in a little bit.
Awesome.
But let's get started with bash timings, right? So just as an overview before, right now in the game, like opener bashes, I mean really like front dodge bashes, right? So when you do front dodge into a bash, and so generally we have, in most cases at least, we do 500 ms bashes at 300 ms into the dodge, right? So you can delay from 3 to 5, and you dodge front, and you can do that bash. The problem we're trying to have is that you can, like, players can react to the dodge, which is fine. This is actually what we want to happen.
Right.
So that's why we start to put that timing a little bit later so that you see your opponent dodge towards you, and then you have to make a call as a defender to go, do I dodge? Do I try to light him out of it? What do I do exactly here? The problem is that some players, especially super high level players or players that have amazing reactions, those actually exist. I'm pretty bad. I'm getting old, so I'm pretty bad at reactions.
I don't believe you, but
yeah, you don't believe me. Yeah, right.
No, but
If you look at that duel tournament, you'll see it happen. So some players have amazing reactions, and so because of this, they end up being able to react to not only the dodge but the actual bash.
Okay.
And because it's 500, they're able to properly react. It's almost single stimuli a lot of the time. You're able to dodge out of it, and then it makes a lot of heroes' offense really lackluster, right? If you look at Centurion, for example, where you do front dodge into kick, there's no real other options, and a lot of players are able to just go, well, I see Centurion front dodge, I'm gonna do nothing, and as soon as they see orange, as soon as they see an animation start, as soon as there's the tiniest bit of movement, they're able to dodge.
Yeah.
And so this is a problem because it creates situations where these heroes just cannot open up one bit.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here with our bash timing changes is that we're going to be adjusting a lot of different heroes to have slightly faster front dodge bashes. And the way we're taking this is that we decided on 3 different buckets, right? So we have a bucket where it's heroes that have a front dodge bash and a non-feintable front dodge attack. So either a light only or a heavy that you can't feint. So we have this kind of bucket. We have a bucket where you have a front dodge bash, and you also have a feintable front dodge attack. So that gives an extra layer of mix-up in some cases. Already, we kind of know that at some levels, because you can't really react to the animation because they're very similar, some heroes are able to, are okay at 500 because there's that heavy that you can feint or whatever. And then we have a third bucket, which is front dodge bash with nothing else, right? Yeah. So Centurion, as I mentioned before, Centurion has front dodge heavy, but it's kind of it's so different from the Legion kick that it's kind of easier to react to there. So to see. So we've taken these 3 buckets, and then we've assigned different speeds to different heroes in there, so we can test them out. So if you look at the list right now, we have bashes with attacks that are not feintable. So we put the changes on these heroes. This does not mean that the list is complete. This does not mean that we would not apply to other heroes when our tests or when we end up with the results from this testing grounds. It just means we've applied to these heroes for now. So in this case, we took, for example, here Griffon and Shigoki. Their front dodge bash is now 466 instead of 500. Right? Yeah. So what we're doing also is that we're trying to go from 466 to 400 to figure out what timing is okay. I've had people tell me, I have some discussions with pro players at some point. Yeah. I go, 466 is probably okay for everything. Some of them say 433 is probably better. Some others say no, they need to be 400. So with this, we can actually fully test it out.
We answer all the all the variables.
We cover all the variables, right? So nice. Griffon and Shigoki are going to be 466. Sent and Kyoshin are going to be 433, and JJ and Glad are going to be 400. Nice. So with these, we're really able to tell. We'll be able to look at the results, look at what we have as feedback from players, from all sorts of different sources to go, what speed do these need to be actually viable, right? And at all levels. Typically, for these, when you're viable at super top level, is viable for everybody.
Right.
So that's great. And then we also have to make sure that it doesn't really cause problems, because at the 400 range, what we're a little bit more worried about is that it kind of creates frame advantage off of heavy finishers that push heavy reactions that might make it a little bit harder to get into. It might be great, it might not. We want to make sure that our players try it out and really see, right? So this is more of an experimental TG than just having, hey, we're testing out changes to this hero and, you know, go ahead and have fun. This is more like we really need the community's help to help us test these, because this is super useful, and there's way more players that are playing this game than we are on the team. So, yeah. And then at this point, I can't react to the 500 anyway. Yeah. Not a lot of people on our team. I think maybe one is able to. So it's super tricky. So we really want everybody's help with this. So we're really hoping. So this is it for with bashes that have non-feintable attacks attached to them. So for bashes with a feintable attack, we took Zanhu, Shinobi, and Yorm. So Zanhu is at 466, Shinobi is at 433, and Yorm is at 400. Again, 3 different numbers. See where we're going for this. Finally, bashes without any attacks. So Conk is a little bit different here, because Conk was had a branching from 1 to 500. So we're testing out 466 for the speed of the bash itself, but having that bash at 300 in the front dodge instead of 100, to kind of like standardize that part a little bit so that it's easier for everybody. That's kind of like good standardization in this case. I know people don't really like when we talk about this, but at the end of the day, this is a good way to standardize it, because if the bash itself is not reactable, but you can react to the dodge, it creates a viable mix-up every time you front dodge. Because your opponent goes, I don't know if they're going to bash. Because you don't know if you're going to bash. They don't know when you're going to bash. They don't know what's going to be happening. Side dodging with attacks is risky. Some characters are able to like front dodge, feint into parries. They're always like parries now. So it makes like it makes a big difference, right? So we want to make this type of offense better. A little bit riskier on the defender side. You have to take more reads when you're defending against these. And it also helps these heroes to really, really get into their offense. But for that to work properly, it needs to be at 300, right? Because at 300, that's the threshold where pretty much everyone is able to go, oh, my opponent dodged.
Yeah.
And then you can, okay, they dodge. I can pre-dodge the bash before it starts, and you're able to fully dodge the bash, and you're okay. But the thing is, for these two heroes, right, we have 466 on Conk and 433 on Lawbringer. Lawbringer's in the testing grounds further, so that's also an improvement for Lawbringer we're going to have there. But we didn't have one at 400 because we know that at 400, this guaranteed is going to work.
Yeah.
But we want to see what the threshold is, right? So again, we're going to count on our players to really, really go through this and help us determine what the exact threshold is. And again, is it 466? Is it 433? It can be different per hero as well, right? So if you feel that Conk is okay at 466, but maybe Lawbringer needs to be at 4, don't hesitate to give that feedback. It is not an issue whatsoever. If you feel that, like, you know, maybe at 4 it's okay, at 433 probably would be okay, give that feedback as well. We're super psyched to hear everything we can hear from this.
Yeah.
But it's very, very crucial that we get a lot of people's eyes on this and playing it and trying it out and seeing how it feels.
Sure.
So that's great there.
So there you go. That's a big change. It's rather, you know, it's rather encompassing. Again, there's a lot of heroes there. If you saw that, you can go back and check out the VOD after this to get a complete breakdown. I'm sure some of you out there are already taking notes, which is fine. But
what I like too is that I've read quite often on Reddit people saying, they would never do this.
We would never do this?
Yeah. And then,
who said that? We must find this Reddit.
And then it happens. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my gosh. We got you.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm like just trolling Reddit and going on it and just going, I can't do this now, can you? And then,
but we'll need your feedback for sure.
For sure.
So try them out and let us know.
Yeah. And then we have Lawbringer round 2. So what we're going to be doing for Lawbringer, I'm gonna try to explain really quickly because it would take forever to go through everything from the first testing grounds and this one. So what I would recommend is go look at what we had for the VOD for the first one, patch notes for that one as well, like in the blog post and everything, to see what the changes were. Because what we're going to be talking about today is the changes from the first to this testing ground. So if something was in the first one and we don't mention it today, it means it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
All right. So that's like the first thing to start with. So now let's get going. So, Lawbringer, right? So the very first thing I gotta do, I gotta say it, because otherwise a certain Vanessa is gonna have my head. We changed the animation for the shove in chains, right? So we know this was, I think, the most vocal thing we had.
It was.
I remember reading back
my
the
gosh,
chat
yeah.
from the VOD and everything. Yeah. So we know sometimes animations are not final when we put them in testing grounds. We felt we were like, okay, we're gonna fix it regardless.
Yeah.
But it was a huge part of the feedback.
It was, Which again, it was placeholder. We mentioned we were going to keep working on it,
but that's it. So now what it looks like is this. So
nice.
So we don't have that kind of like jittery stuff. We still have like slightly different visuals for it, a bit more angled. Again, it's still faintable like we had before, so it works well. But the animation should be at least more readable there. That should help quite a bit. So next up, we're going to go on the rest of the changes because they're kind of important. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is Impale. So the changes, so Impale, right? We had a change before where you could,
Sorry.
Let's do it. So Impale, if you let go before, you couldn't wall splat. We had made that change so that, like, I didn't even get it there, but it doesn't really matter. We had a couple of changes to Impale where that's it. You couldn't really wall splat if you let go early. You went into that little window once you hit the wall to get into that follow up and everything. So all those things are gone, right? So players didn't really like it. It didn't really change anything. At the end of the day, it didn't make that much of a difference. And it had other impacts on other parts of the hero's kit we're going to be talking about. But one of the things that we've also changed that is a big difference here is Impale now is only guaranteed after a light parry. It is no longer guaranteed after a heavy parry. So if you throw me a top heavy, for example, I need to parry it because I'm really bad at this, it looks like. Yeah, see, so I can do Impale. So now I hit you, but if we do it again, you can block it.
Oh, if I block the right
if
side.
You block the right side, right? There you go. So it's blockable, it's parryable, everything off of a heavy parry, right? So no longer off of any random heavy parry, basically, can you ledge somebody with Impale, can you deal like really high amounts of damage with Impale. So that's really gone there. Makes a big difference for how the hero is. The actual change is that Impale after a parry is 1100 MS instead of 8. We've had to do like some work under the hood to make sure they was still coming out properly. You can still do it, but it can get blocked or parried after a heavy, but not after a light. So we're good to go there. So that works quite well. So that's kind of interesting here. We've also removed the stun on the top heavy after a parry. So if you do me a, do a side dodge heavy.
Side dodge heavy.
Right, so this here used the stun. We removed the stun here. A lot of players really weren't super happy with that stun still. It was the last place we kept stun. We wanted to keep it just to give it a shot. And even then, the feedback was kind of unanimous. We don't like the stun here. Perfect. We remove it. That's great. That's the kind of feedback that I like to hear, right?
Easy. Yeah.
I'd rather it be in and players don't like it and say, I don't like this, please change it, than the opposite where we don't do anything or don't change it and then people say, we have no feedback on it, and then it's kind of hard to act on it, right? We've also lowered, you can see the damage here probably on the screen. We've lowered the damage from that top heavy finisher. It used to do 32 damage. It now deals a much more respectable rate. Okay, we'll just go through the text then. That's fine. So it used to deal 32 damage. Now it deals 25.
That's all we wanted.
So
to
yeah.
That's
Fine. Right. So it deals 25. A lot easier to deal with. Doesn't deal as much damage on a light parry. You don't get massive damage. You still get that guaranteed light afterwards. So you're good to go. I don't know if we can still get in, but
we want to.
So that's for the top heavy finisher when you parry, and then the dedicated light parry punish. So whenever you parry, if you press light, you get that quick hit.
Yeah.
It used to deal 16. We lowered it down to 12 to be like more in a normal, to be like a much more normal like damage range, right? I don't think we'll be able to because we have to regroup and everything.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
So it's fine.
Fine.
Yeah. So we lowered the damage there to make it a lot more in line with what our other parry punishes are on lights. It still counts as the second hit in your chain, so you go to finishers, you get all that good stuff. But it's an idea of the damage was too high, so we really need to lower the damage on Lawbringer. That was another one of the big complaints that we had with the hero, which I totally get.
Yeah.
Damage was still a bit too high,
Sorry.
so we're really trying to lower it.
Yep.
Next up, we removed the armor, the uninterruptible stance, as the official name is, on the heavy finishers for all three sides. I've read a lot of comments about maybe we should keep it on top, maybe we should keep it everywhere, maybe we should just remove it altogether. So we've decided to remove it altogether on all three sides, especially because top has that follow-up that you can go to that guaranteed light and keep looping there, which is still super interesting for us. But no longer having that armor, because those heavies have such big, wide, unblockable trajectories.
Yeah.
You don't really need that armor that much. Should make Lawbringer a little bit easier to be peeled, although to be fair, it's still hard because it's still, big trajectories hitting you.
Right.
But that makes a big difference there. And we've also lowered the damage of that attack. It used to deal 30, like the sides used to deal 30, top used to deal 32. Now the sides, all three sides actually deal 28. So because they deal a little bit less damage, again, we're under our 30 threshold. They're super, super, super good heavies. Yeah. I kept hearing from the community, these are like the best heavy finishers that we have off of any character.
Nice.
They're pretty fast. They have the top one has soft feint to guard break to do a lot of good stuff. They have big trajectories and everything. So this is great. They land too often, lower the damage a little bit, works well. Also because of the impale changes, the second heavy in chains used to deal 20 damage, right? Because the idea was you're gonna impale somebody, hit them to the wall, get into your other attacks and deal 20. But because impale is no longer guaranteed off of heavy parries, you don't get like close to 26 damage off of a heavy parry, which was like insanely high, and a potential to ledge and everything. So yeah. So because of that, we were able to revert the damage back and push it back to 26, so that you actually want to use those heavies and you're good to go.
Gotcha.
Finally, we've done some changes to long arm. So one of the other not complaints, like feedbacks that we got, right? Complaints is a strong word, is that you could actually perform long arm on opponents after you've guard broken them, right? It was a bit of a hidden tech. Not everybody knew about it, but essentially you could do like guard break and then hold back heavy and guard break and do a long arm every single time.
Ah, yes.
So normally that wasn't an issue because on live right now, like without the testing ground changes, the problem was that you can't guard break. You go into a long arm, but the follow-ups on live on long arm are not really they're not that good. You really risk a lot because you can you throw your heavy. If you don't go into a second attack, you get guard broken for free every single time. So with the changes that we've done to long arm, lets us do a lot more damage. And so having that high damage off of a guard break was way too high. So we've removed that ability entirely. You can no longer long arm off of a guard break by yourself. That was super wet. Like a lot of pro players came to me and told me yeah, this is a bit too much. So we've decided to remove it. And we've also removed the fact that long arm paused and drained stamina.
Okay.
That's gone as well. So that it's still a good ganking tool. You can still do a lot of good stuff with it, but we wanted to tone it down a little bit. And the last thing that we've done, just to close this out, is the back throw distance. So if you're not super aware, Lawbringer, when he guard breaks you and throws you backwards, he used to throw you backwards super, super, super far. And you could ledge you from really far away, get you wall splats. Yeah, we're a little bit too late now. Yeah, so you could throw it super far away, get a lot of stuff. So we've reduced the back throw distance by half. It used to push them 2.5 meters, and now it's going to push them a meter and a quarter. So you don't go as comically far as you used to, so it makes a big difference here. So that's it for those changes. So essentially, for Lawbringer, we know that the first one was not super well received. There was a lot. We got a lot of good feedback, not feedback that was positive, but a lot of really, really good feedback.
Right.
And so we've taken it in stride to take a lot of that feedback and really go ahead and try to adjust a lot of it, so that we can make a hero that's a lot better balanced. Damage has been lowered almost across the board. Impale is only off of parries anymore, or still after sprint, but really having those changes to make the hero a little bit less. Not oppressive, but a bit less difficult to fight against.
Right.
It still felt really bad to fight against a bunch of Lawbringers that could just impale you off of everything, get a lot of damage off all the time. So we're really hoping that with these changes, we're still pushing Lawbringer in the direction where we wanted him to go, which was have the hero that still has, he's still a parry specialist, right? So still really good at parrying, still has a lot of dedicated parry punishes, but at the end of the day, still be able to be a lot more offensive, because having super defensive heroes in For Honor, where your entire game plan revolves around I'm gonna sit here and wait, is not. It can be. I understand it can be fun for some players to play, right?
Yeah.
Totally, but it is not the direction that we really want to push the game towards. We've been doing a lot of strides, a lot of pushes towards having more unreactable offense, better offense, more offensive based gameplay, and not really go back to the turtle meta that we had at some point where
Yeah.
all you could do really was just like stare in front of somebody's face, right?
Just wait.
And
Yeah.
so that's not super interactive. It's not a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And then fighting somebody that's a reaction monster that's able to do everything against you all the time did not feel good either. So with these changes, we're really, really pushing the hero towards a bit more like, yeah, you're still a parry specialist. Yeah, you still get a lot of options off a parry, but at the same time, you can actually attack people now, which
Yeah.
is what's super important here.
Well, wow. So that's very in depth. Thank you so much, JC, for sharing that. And again, for everybody out there, just we want to just stress and reiterate this, that the testing grounds is really a tool for us. It's a tool for us to gather your feedback, to try experiments with heroes, with reworks, with system changes. So it's really a great way to interact with all of you, and we appreciate the feedback that you do share and you do send our way. But just as a reminder, again, the stuff in there is generally still work in progress, and doesn't always mean that it's going to make it into the final game. That just what you're seeing there. So just we're not wrapping up yet. Nope. As Max is telling me, wrap up the.
Yeah,
song.
wrap
I see
it
how
up.
It is.
No,
That's
yeah,
fine.
There's gonna be music start to play.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
It's like, being one of those comical hooks, like Shepherd's Crooks about to pull me off screen. But anyway, just to close that out, just thank you. Yeah, keep up the feedback.
Yeah.
It's great to see. We really appreciate that. And we know we lost a bit of the feed on that, but there will be a patch notes section that will be released later on. That's going to kind of show all.
yeah,
of
we're gonna
this.
have all the changes there.
So you'll be able to read them and try them out for yourself very soon.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to add really
please.
quickly in terms of feedback that players give, right? So
Yeah.
whether your feedback is positive or negative or neutral or whatever,
Yeah.
it's totally fine. I'm okay with us getting a lot of bad feedback. It's okay because it's part of the process. It's part of what we're going towards. However, if you want to give feedback and you want your feedback to be taken into consideration a little bit more and us to really look at it more in depth, it's better to have feedback that has your reasoning behind.
Right.
So just you can and like totally if you just want to go and say I hate XYZ, fine. But if you go onto wherever you give feedback and you say I don't like this and this and this for these reasons, and you go into into not necessarily get super in depth, but go I don't like this change for this reason and that reason and that reason, it really lets us get a better insight into how you're thinking and how you're playing, and go, okay, so generally as a whole, this was disliked for this, that reason, because then it helps us pinpoint the exact cause of what's causing this negative feedback and lets us address it in a much better manner. So that's like a super important point that I want to stress on everybody. It's great to get feedback. I love to get all that feedback. Even when people hate on us, it's fine. I don't care.
We take it in stride.
Yeah, we take it in stride totally. But the more constructive, the more in depth, and the more you explain your opinions, the better it is for us, because it really lets us go through everything and really parse it and really fully understand the logic behind everything. So that's like super important. Again, if you don't feel like it, fine. Just tell us that you don't like it or that you love it. It's great. But yeah, the more info we have, and even if it's something that you like, the other thing that's important, even if you really, really love something, if you give us more details as to why you love it, that's even better.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all that sort of stuff that it's super helpful to us. And I know like people love to kind of take part in the dev process and be able to be heard. And this is how you are best heard.
Yeah.
So that's like the most important thing for that side.
Awesome. Well, wonderfully said. Thank you so much, JC. Thank you for sharing all the details on the patch notes testing grounds. I'm looking forward to it coming up very soon in this upcoming season. Starts next week. So thanks again. So stick around, y'all. We're going to wrap it up. We have a wrap-up segment coming up. We're going to go over everything, including some new content of the week, upcoming stuff. So don't go anywhere, because we still got some more things to share with you all. But JC, we'll see you next time, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Welcome back, everybody. We hope you are as excited for Year 7 Season 2 TU1 as we are.
Yes.
Reminder again, starts on the 15th. So just to give a quick recap of everything coming, Nolan, do you want to
Absolutely
do the honors?
I would love to. Thank you so much, Brian. Yes, so as Brian just said, next week, the 15th, we launch the season. We're going to have new Battle Pass and Battle Bundle, which is looking amazing. The New World influence there is great. Very,
I love
very
this
nice.
glowy boy.
The glowy boy. It's amazing. So on top of that, too, we have the Stolen Empire free event pass, which will be going from June 15th to July 6th. So there's that. We also have the upcoming Testing Grounds running from June 29th to July 6th as well.
And a quick note on the Testing Grounds, because I saw in chat that people were, they were worried about stuff. Just again, Testing Grounds is for testing stuff. I know there were some some people kind of missed the explanation of like the variable bash timings, and it's like all three of those are so we can test each one and see which one works best. So I just want to clarify that real quick.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. But yeah, I mean, again, play it.
So it's a
give
test.
Us your feedback.
It's so we can ABC, figure out which one is best, and then base future changes off that.
Right. So again, exactly. So again, just give us your feedback. Let us know. It's great. So we also have a new onboarding flow coming up, which was a great segment for the UI team to share with that. So that's great.
Max is crushing it today.
Max he's stoked for the Warmonger hero skin. So we have the Conquistador Vela, the hero skin, also launching next week.
So beautiful.
It was so good. Like it's great. I love the shots on there. I think Justin took the video for that back there.
I love the compound curvature
really
on the Kyrus. That's really nice as well.
Armor
nerd.
Yeah, you were throwing out a lot of like technical armor names.
Oh yeah,
and I'm in the back like, oh, it's shiny. It's good. Yeah,
it's such an obsession, and like once you get into like armor and like historical stuff, you're just like, I can't stop it. I'm like microdosing Wikipedia on everyone around me.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, there you go. What are the ruffles called again? Does
there's a term I can't. You put me on the spot.
That's the one.
We're gonna go with blouse sleeves.
Blouse sleeves. Love it. All right, amazing. We already made a Seinfeld joke, so I'm not going back for that. So, cool. We also have a throwback event, Wrath of the Jormungandr, running from July 13th to July 20th, and some upcoming Hero Fests as well. So. We are super stoked. The Warlord Hero Fest on July 6th, Griffin on the 13th, and Valkyrie on July 20th.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. All the legs.
Always.
Must be swept.
Yes.
So, yeah. So there's that. Lots of content coming up. So.
And speaking of content, one thing I'm glad we brought back, again, shout out Havoc for giving me the idea, is just shining a light on some of the awesome content that our community creates. So, for all of you who don't work on the game and read all of the feedback from everywhere in the community you can possibly put your eyeballs on, that's what I do. You may not know that like the biggest part of the For Honor machine week after week after week is the content that you guys create. And so we've brought back Community Corner as a way to just like shine a light on some of the top like submissions that we've received between each den. And so we got a few clips for you again.
Oh,
so
I love these.
Let's jump into these. All right. So here we've got the double dopamine execution. Because sometimes stuff just lines up in a way where you're like, I did not expect such perfection to happen. I don't know if you ever go on like the subreddit, like things perfectly fitting into other things. But
I've never visited that.
This has the same level of like dopamine satisfaction to it.
All right.
So we've got everybody's favorite biter shaman here, and I can't say really struggle bussing for life. And then here it goes.
Oh.
This execution in particular always creates fun stuff like this.
Oh, yeah, I love again the Will It Ledge category.
Yes.
Of, executions. We do check those.
And then once again, La Verité is back with another great piece of artwork. This time, Renown Illustrated.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I do love his Renown Illustrations.
Oh yeah, and this one I had a good laugh at this one because I'm like, I've never seen this happen, and you guys will see what I mean in 3, 2, 1. Boom. I
What?
screwed the timing
Okay. Oh my gosh! Wow, a tie. Our game has those.
Yeah, I was like, I've never seen a
Man.
game tie. And then I love this one. The guy's 6-year-old little brother took his school sketchbook and like sketched out all the heroes. It was really awe.
I mean, I wish I had that 6-year-old because I don't even think I could draw that well. So.
And then, typical Raider and Kyoshin interaction there.
That is how they say hi. They greet each other every day.
Yeah, it's kind of an Indiana Jones moment where he's like,
Right.
"Look at my skills, I have practiced," and then the Raider's just like, "You in the drink."
Yeah. It's like that's nice.
And then speaking of content, I've lost my place in the content. Oh yeah, we have an upcoming tournament being run by Pharaoh.
That's right.
This is part of the crusade against cancer because fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer. Yeah. We got
so-
permission to say that today because it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So yeah, it'll be 4v4 Dominion. If you're interested, deets are right there. And you can always hit up Mr. Spaniard or Mr. Nutella if you're like, I'm interested. They'll get you all the deets.
Yeah. So, yeah. Keep up the great work there, though, team, because that's an amazing cause to fundraise for. So.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, we've had a lot of players in the community over the years, be personally impacted by cancer.
Yeah.
So it's something that like the community takes really seriously. I think everyone takes really seriously, but like For Honor in particular is like, no, if we're gonna have a crusade, let it be against cancer.
Agreed.
So,
Good stuff.
yeah. And then one other note. Speaking of content, we partnered with Era DeLupi and the artist Menacide. Again, like we did last year for the year 1 through 5 lore recap. Well, that's a series we want to keep going. So we have a year 6 lore recap that's live on the Ubisoft YouTube right now.
Nice.
And we just have like the first little bit of it that we want to share with you. So check this out. Daubeny in his full glory, his golden boy little underpants. Check it out.
Finally, all is ready for another great banquet. After such a turbulent year, we all deserve some good food, wonderful music, and Feronia's most famous mock battles. It always reminds me of the festival said to be held in the myth of Lord Ramiel. All true wardens strive to match his greatness, though I would say no one has ever come as close as I.
Check out the whole video on the YouTube. It's about 10 minutes long, really gets into all of the lore behind the relics and each of the heroes associated with them on both sides, both the ones from the new cultures as well as like some of the hero figures that may have trespassed and done bad things.
They do bad.
Yeah, looking at you, Raider.
Yeah. No good
Bullthorn.
Yeah, Bullthorn.
Bullthorn. Suckthorn.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, we got some content of the week.
Yes,
Nolan, do you want to take us through it?
So again, new season next week, but today we're starting the Conqueror Hero Fest. So there's a new execution available right now, the paddle ball for 7K steel, and if you were playing the Death by Metal event, you might have seen this from some of the bots. So good on you. It's
more like tetherball, really.
It's a little bit of but he uses the shield like a paddle. But
yeah, that's true. I guess that's fine. It's cricket.
It's a little bit more cricket. Okay, we'll go talk to Ian to rename.
I know nothing about.
We're gonna rename this.
I'm from America.
It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you. No,
it's fine.
No, it's
you're from the same place.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. It's fine. We're both from Idaho. Just random. Any Idaho people out there?
Hey, are you two people from Idaho? Congrats.
You'll see it. So, it's so random that worked out.
I don't know.
Also on June 15th, though, next week, we alluded to it earlier, but just to show it off again, we have a new Mythic outfit, New Worlds Eclipse for 15K steel, which is awesome. Again, I love anything Eclipse oriented and all the golds.
And this one, it's got environmental lighting, so it'll light up the area around you.
That's awesome. So
and
a
I
nice
love this
light in the dark.
Yeah.
Got an awesome Eclipse there too.
Be the candle.
Be the candle. Absolutely. We also have a new execution too next week. It's called The Snake Whisperer. That's right.
I'm a snicky snack.
Yes, that's right. We finally turned the snake against your enemies there.
Now that's a danger noodle for real.
That is, yes. We've brought it full circle from the giant Jormungandr snake, now we just are attacking people with snakes. We're throwing snakes on all sorts of maps. It's going to be great. So
yeah, and I think we got an emote.
We do, yeah. We're even and we've decided to go back and retrofit some of the heroes who were missing a classic, very classic rub salt in the wound emote. You know,
you got to be able to have that salt, bro.
We do, yeah.
Salt Bay, excuse me, Salt Bay.
Salt, yeah. We can.
I promise I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So if you felt that some of the new heroes were missing sodium in their lives, this has been retrofit for them.
I'm so ready for this.
And then, of course, Conquistador Vela at 25k steel. It looks amazing. Next week, this could be yours, or maybe you might win it today just from watching.
Every part of this armor makes me happy. Like the greaves, the cuisses, the gauntlets, the cuirass, the pauldrons, all of it. I'm just like,
And
so
again,
excited.
the puffy parts are...
the bloused sleeves.
The bloused sleeves. I'm sorry, I'm getting...
Well, no, so like in the German tradition, like you'd have your Plunderhosen, and then there's like a similar thing in the shirt, and that's what's stuck in my head. And so I'm sorry, I don't have.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I like that you're like, I'm gonna throw out like another really complicated word.
I swear to God, I know it.
It's fine. It's good.
No, but yeah, in addition to all of this stuff coming like between June 8th and June 15th, we've got an arcade quest and a warrior challenge. So first up, warrior challenge, be the faction with the most matches completed of any type.
Nice. That's easy. Just go play.
Yeah, just play. And then we've got the Illusionists of Kai King. Obviously, Marching Fire owners can enjoy that. So, other than that, I believe that's everything.
It's a lot.
Except for the reminder to follow us at For Honor Game on all the things. We got it all standardized across the board now. Only took 7 years.
That's good.
Crushing it.
Never give up, though.
Never give up, never surrender.
Yeah, we got to move forward. There's always more to do. Always.
So, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and right here on Twitch. Because if you're not following on Twitch, that's awkward because you're watching.
It is
right
a little
now.
weird.
But there's 30% of you aren't. So like do it. Just click smash that follow button
that you're missing out on by not come on. So many scavenger crates.
But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us for yet another awesome Warriors Den. We hope you're excited for the changes, for the excellent Mamistador skin. What are you saying? 180? Oh, 180 live streams. Oh, yeah, this is our 180th Warriors Den.
What?
I almost forgot to mention that.
Holy
yeah,
crap.
180 dens.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Milestone.
Wow.
So, like, we're 20 away from 200.
Nice.
We'll have to do something cool for 200. I don't know what.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe I'll get Burger King.
Yeah, we got like... I mean, if that's how you want to celebrate, I mean, I'm not going to tell you no.
It's the best of the fast food burgers.
It's really good.
I just started a war in chat, and
yeah,
I meant to.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Nolan. Thank you for hosting with me.
Thank you for having me, Brian. And it's been awesome stuff. So.
And we will see you on the battlefield.